Hello, can you hear me? Ni hao. Hello, testing, everyone. Hey, hello. Good you can hear me. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Wendy. Welcome. Great stuff. Okay. So we've got a few people here. Shout out to Catherine Saunders. Welcome, Catherine. Welcome, Wendy. Hello, Mayor. So we'll get going in a few moments. Just want to make sure we got people in and sorted. Hope you're all having a great day. Hi, Stuart. Nice to see you. Hey, Bronwyn. How you doing? Great to see you. For those who don't know, that's South Africa. Hi, Dan. Hi, Mike and Kareen. Okay, so look, I'm going to get ourselves started. Hi, Helen. Get ourselves started now. So, hi, welcome. I'm Mark, and I'm going to be sharing some tools and tips and things with you over the next sort of 50 minutes to an hour. We'll be looking at the ways in which we can think about technology, how it can be effectively used in the classroom, how we can make the most of it. And please ignore my headphones. It was giving a crazy echo with the microphone and it was sort of running through. So I've to plug myself in to make it all sound and look at that much sort of better and clearer. So hopefully that'll work for you. So welcome to everybody who's joined us for this session. I'm going to be using this Webinar Ninja for you to better hear me, but we're going to be using an interactive tool by the sponsors for this session, Unio, in order to sort of facilitate the session. So what I'd like you to do, please, is I'd like you to open up a new tab, if you could. This is a kind of interactive session. Could you open up a new tab in your browser on whatever device you're using? And what I'd like you to do, please, is follow the instructions you're going to see here in just a moment. So I'm going to go to Unio myself. This is the website here, uniobyharness.com. And I've already logged myself in. And here on my dashboard, okay, I've got a lesson in here using technology to raise standards and engagement that I'm going to run with you in session. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Okay, so it then wants me to install this. My apologies. I thought this was all already working. That's not the best. I do apologize. There we go. That's now up and running. So let's just try that again. All right, thank you. So there's my screen just down the bottom here. Can you tell me if you can see me full screen on what I'm sharing with you, please? Someone, there's a little message. Thank you. Be really helpful. Fantastic. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Ni hao. Brilliant, guys. Okay, so I've gone to the Unio by Harness website and I've logged myself in. And here's my dashboard. You can see I've got these different areas set up for different sessions, some for lessons, some for professional learning sessions, some for my classes, this sort of thing. And I've got one here called Using Technology to Raise Standards and Engagement. And so I'm going to go into here and I'm going to start that lesson. Okay, so it's quite a large session. So what you need to do for yourselves, as you can see on your screens now, is go to uniostudent.com. When you get there, you'll need to enter this code, 1757. As your teacher, I'll be able to see at the top of the screen when you joined me. I've got a little students tab up here. And as more and more of you sort of join in the session, so I'll see the student numbers increase at the top. So whether you're on a laptop, a MacBook, a Chromebook, a Windows tablet, an iPad, whatever it is you're using, all you need to do is go to uniostudent.com. Don't close the tab that we're talking through and you're watching and listening on. If you just go across onto a new tab in your browser and go to uniostudent.com and just enter the join code 1757. I'll be sharing my slides and everything with you. during this session. I haven't mentioned yet, but this session is being recorded, so if you wanted to listen back and share with colleagues again, you're very welcome to do that. Unio will share that through to you through the addresses they got from you when you signed up via Eventbrite, so that information will come out to you. Just going to jump back for a second into the webinar tab, just to see if there's any messages there. Okay. So is that what you want me to do? Expand my screen? Not quite sure what we want to be doing here. So it's uniostudent.com and then the join code 1757. So I can just jump into my students tab here in a second, into my first slide as well. Okay, so I can see Bronwyn's in, Shah, Helen, John, Lenka, Nihal, Mare, Stuart. Superb. Thank you, Nihal. So it's uniostudent.com and then you use the join code 1757. Now, as you can see, actually on my screen, I can see all of your screens at the same time on here. It's one of the features of Unio where you can work in this kind of way. When you're running a lesson, you've got one-to-one devices in your classroom, you can simply share your content straight to your students' screens. And as you'll probably notice, there are annotation tools on your screen, and you can write onto your slides that you see on any of them if you wanted to. I can also jump in onto slides, for example, here. Here I am on Bronwyn's, and I can just go in and get my pencil tool, and I can draw and highlight key things on her screen. I can choose to present that onto all of your screens as well if I want to. I can take complete control of her screen. I can leave some feedback very quickly about whether I like it or not. She's annotated on that screen. When I finish with Bronwyn, I can just jump back out. There's lots you can do with that. Okay. Wendy Brown, the code was 1757, 1757. So just a quick look. So I can't see Wendy in at the moment, so I'll just reply to Wendy over here. Okay, Wendy, you're in now, fantastic. Fantastic. So we've got 13 of you in now. Welcome then again to Bronwyn, Shah, Dan, Helen, John, Kareen, Lenka, Mare, Mike, Nihal. Nihal's busy drawing away on my slides. Welcome Stella, welcome Stuart, and welcome to Wendy as well. So I'm going to start working through the presentation as I would a teacher. So here I'm on my teacher view. And so this is a session looking at raising standards and engagement using EdTech. There are loads of great things we can do with technology. Some of you might have seen this on something I wrote and shared on Twitter. After the costs of paying for salaries for teachers, the second largest cost in most schools is the cost of technology. So, it's really important that we get, I think, good value for money out of what we choose to spend our money on. And if we're going to get things that are just as gimmicks as well, that devalues you as a teacher and it devalues the technology, and you lose credibility and credence with the children in your classroom. I love his quote. It's one of my sort of guiding mantras from Michael Fullen about pedagogy is the driver with technology is the accelerator. When we can take what it is that we're doing and add, as practitioners, and add to that with technology, it can help us in so many ways. It can help us with assessments, it can help us with efficiencies, it can help us with our productivity. There are so many things that we can do with technology to help both us as education professionals, but also help those in the classroom as well. And tools like Unio that we're using right now sort of really fit into that into that category. When it comes to thinking about teaching and learning with technology, I always use this model to help me, because I think the good teaching and learning, is where we sort of marry up together our pedagogical and our content knowledge together. And that formed PCK, something that Schulman came up with in 1987, but it was sort of developed into a thing called TPACK a few years later by Kohler and Mishra. And so they said, and I agree completely, when it comes to making relevant and purposeful teaching and learning sessions for our young people that we work with, it's important, I feel, to not only combine our pedagogical knowledge and our content knowledge, but also to consider our technological knowledge as well. I think it's really, really important. One of the problems, though, with, or one of the key things with the technological knowledge, though, that I wanted to share with you, is that you'd think, given that you've got this Venn diagram going on here, you'd think that good teaching and learning is only the case when you've got this marrying up here in the middle here, where you've got technology and you've got content knowledge and pedagogical knowledge all together. Actually, it's about being a more seasoned practitioner, as it were. Yeah, you don't have to use technology in order to get great teaching and learning. What TPACK asks you to do is to consider those things. If you'd like to learn more about TPACK, there's a lot of information about that sort of thing on my website, ictevangelist.com. And there's a nice poster here which will print out nice and large if you want to share that on your staff room notice board or in your teaching and learning communities if you're using something like that online. But as I say here, TPACK is truly meaningful, deeply skilled teaching with or without technology, because sometimes this can be the best choice. And that's what's important. If you don't know what tools are out there to help you and support you in terms of raising standards and increasing engagement with your learners, then it isn't going to work for you. So that's partly why we're running a session, to give you some opportunities to learn about new tools, new techniques, new strategies, in order to help you use technology effectively in the classroom. And I love this quote from C Clarke, because I think this is really relevant for lots and lots of teachers, because lots of teachers do sort of worry about using technology. They feel like they can't do it. I was in a school just yesterday, and I heard a phrase that I hear too often, really, which is, I can't do technology, or I'm scared of technology, or I don't do IT, or these sorts of things. And so what I'm going to try and do today is share some things and some tools that will try and sort of take away the mysticism behind it. Because as Eric Sheninger says, getting good teaching and learning with technology and getting strong use of technology in your schools is about having a clear vision with a strategic process, where you've got a culture that gives our young people the skill sets that they need. So rather than calling it a dream, call it a plan. Think carefully about how you're going to support your teachers to learn and be confident and happier learning about and using and making the most of the technology that's available to them in the classroom. Something that really helps me is this diagram here, and it sort of marries up all the things that we should be thinking about, either as a school leader or as a middle leader or even just as a teacher in the classroom. What is my vision for using technology in the classroom? Where does my sort of community fit in? Are there colleagues who could help me? Is there a team of people that I can go to and get support with my use of technology? Is what I'm doing sustainable? Are you spending more time preparing your lessons for your learners with technology than the lesson actually takes? Let's say you've got an hour-long lesson. Do you spend longer than an hour resourcing it? When you've got enough to be getting on with in your own actual life, with doing cooking and cleaning and all the rest of you got to do, we need to be very careful about how much time we spend on these sorts of things. And so thinking carefully about whether you can keep up this use of technology is really important. Think carefully too about your environment. Sorry, I just had a message. Think carefully about your environments as well. Yeah, and that's not just about your wall displays, but thinking about how your room is set up for how children might engage with technology. Think carefully about your own CPD, how you're going to do that, and measuring whether or not your interventions with technology are actually having some success. And obviously focus on learning. Now, if you have all these things in place, then you'll get ongoing success. But as the diagram shows, if you start taking some of these things away, then you'll lose some of those things. So, for example, if you don't focus on learning, then chances are you'll have failure. If you don't measure what you're doing, then you don't know whether you've been successful or not. If you're not being mindful of your CPD, then when it comes to thinking about using that technology, you'll be suffering from anxiety and worrying about it. If your environment isn't right, then you and your learners can find the whole experience frustrating. Think carefully. It's all about the sustainability thing here as well, because if it isn't sustainable, what you're doing, then it's just not sustainable, and that's not going to be any use to you or anybody else. If you're not clear about what's happening with you and your team, that includes your learners, that can lead to confusion. And if you're not engaging in talking about these sort of things in your community, and that could be your whole school community, it could be your classroom community, it could be your colleagues in your departments. If you're not clear about what you're doing, it's likely you'll get resistance. And if you haven't got any vision about what it is you're trying to do, then you won't know where you're starting. There are so many things to think about, but it doesn't have to be that difficult. Sharing your vision, talking to your team, thinking about making and choosing tools that are going to be sustainable in your environment, and getting decent CPD and so forth and so on can really lead to helping you be successful. With all that in mind, something that's really helped me sort of rate and gauge EdTech tools is this idea of the impact effort prioritization matrix. When it comes to thinking about technology and the tools that are available to you, what you want, and this isn't true for the computing classroom. In a computing classroom, you'll want tools that really stretch and challenge learners to better use it, because you're trying to skill them up using different types of technology. But when it comes to technology across the curriculum, you want to be able to use things which are of a decent quality, and B, easy to use, and C, sort of scalable in terms of its learning impact. Tools like Unio are really clearly, right inside here. So yes, we've got high impact, but there's low effort. It's very easy, for example, to just repurpose existing content. If you can still see my screen rather than looking at this one, you can add in images and YouTube content, all sorts of things straight onto these slides. You can even upload pre-existing presentations from Google Docs, Google Slides, PowerPoint files, PDFs, all of that. So very, very simple and easy and quick and effective. So what are the sort of key hallmarks of technology tools? Another one that will be a good example, I'll share this with you later on. Some of you might have heard of this one before. It's a tool called ThingLink. It's easy to use. It's accessible on every platform. There's a huge depth of challenge involved in it, if you want there to be. And it can have a huge impact on learning and standards. And so when you're thinking about evaluating what technology you're going to be using in the classroom, this really helps me. There are some great tools out there that can produce some fantastic outcomes. But if it's going to take up 90% of your curriculum time to actually make that one thing at the expense of other content or other things you have to cover, then is it actually worth it? Is the question I would ask you to consider. And when you're working with teams as well, be mindful of where people are at along this scale here as well. It goes to that ease of use thing, but good EdTech tools have got a low entry point for using them, so that whether, people who are at this top end of the spectrum up here in terms of their confidence and competence for using technology, that's great. But any EdTech strategy you employ and use is only ever as effective or as strong as your weakest links in your organization or in your team or in your classroom. So think carefully about where your users that you're working on these tools with fall along these different elements in this scale here. Thinking about how you use technology is obviously very important, and one way that technology can massively help is through the use of feedback. Students do work and they hand it in, or they do something and it comes through to you as teacher. And learning is then adapted so that but by me as your teacher, in our example here right now. And if you can do that really quickly and effectively, then that really helps me as a teacher then to make choices about where you're at with your learning. So as an example of that, please, could you, on your screen now, just using any kind of annotation tool that you would like, could you please just show me with either a tick or a cross as to whether you understand the slide that's in front of you right now? So what I'm looking for then is a tick or a slide, sorry, a tick or a cross on the screen. So I can see Dan's got a tick, Bronwyn's done that, Helen's is giving it a tick, so forth and so on. Now the power of just a simple thing, we're doing this remotely, but doing this in the classroom is really powerful as well, because I can see it at a glance, really, really quickly that yes, you're understanding this. And that's fantastic for me as a teacher. Just simple, effective little things that can help me to better understand where my learners are at in the classroom along that journey. Now, I can obviously see all of your screens and all of that. Now, let's say, for example, that Dawn here, who's put some nice ticks on her screen. Okay, maybe let's say Dawn actually put some crosses on her screen. Now, I can use that information now. I could, there's a feature on Unio where, because at the moment we're moving through these presentations in a linear fashion, i.e. we're moving through every single slide at the same time. Now, if I wanted to, let's say, go over to spend some time with Dawn to unpick and dig deeper into why she put the cross onto her screen, I could break the linear fashion of the presentation that I'm delivering to you now, so you can move ahead at your own speed through the content. There are also other ways in which you can do this. You can send chat messages and all sorts of stuff to me through Unio and ask questions directly from within the tool. So that's that. So I'm going to show you some more things here. So we've got obviously thinking that knowing that Unio is a great tool. And we've got a bunch of teachers Unio have working and doing various bits of action research on Unio. One teacher is Rose Dre, for example. She's head of maths at a school here in the UK in Grantham. And she's found that in her classroom, it's actually increased engagement in young people in the classroom. They're telling her that the students are telling her, sorry, that they like that they got the teacher's attention. They can ask questions when they want to. They can find out what's going on. They feel more involved. And she likes it because it gives them more, well, you can see for yourself, you can read, it allows students to work at their own pace. It gives her the opportunity to give instant feedback. She can revisit previously taught lessons really quickly and easily. There's lots that can go on within there. So what also is really good for as well is a hidden learner. I remember when we didn't really have much in the way of educational technology in our classrooms that we could use all of the time. And often in the classroom, I don't know what your experience is like as a teacher, but certainly for me, you'll have those children who struggle in your class. You'll have those children who really fly in your class. But often there are some children that, because of the pressures of time and everything else, you don't really very often get a chance to chat to them in the class. You don't get a chance to talk with them about how they're getting on. And you try, and it's really, you really do try and get around your 30 children in your 50-minute session. But that's very, very difficult to do when you've got a lot to cover. Technology can really help with this idea of the hidden learner, those children who can sort of coast along. And if you don't pick up on issues and problems quickly, then it's very easy for those children to not make as much progress as they otherwise could. And that's where things like the feature we used a second ago for annotation can be really helpful. So let me show you how we can use Unio to help with that as an example. So I'm going to share with you this slide here now. This is a picture of a flower, and it shows the various parts of the flower. In a moment, what I'm going to do, after you've had a chance to study this, and obviously if I was teaching you, the anatomy of a flower, we'd spend more time on this. We'd probably get some flowers. We'd probably pull the petals off and have a look at the elements underneath and so forth and so on. But this is just for demonstration purposes. So I'm just going to move on to the next slide any moment. What I do, I'll move on to the next slide. I'd like you to please annotate the slide and put in as many of the things that you can remember in one go. Okay, so here we go, moving on here. And whilst you have a go at annotating those, I'll jump through into the student screen. Lovely comment from Bronwyn here. You can get feedback from every student immediately. Absolutely. It is so powerful because those children who otherwise might get missed, those children, like I say, who sort of sit in the middle, as it were, they can often get overlooked, and not through you wanting to be, or you're lacking in any kind of professionalism at all. It's completely understandable that this sort of thing can cause huge problems. So I can see that you're starting to put things on. We've got Dan, who's putting a stamen and a petal and a stalk on. We've got Dawn ripping through that. Helen clearly teaches plant anatomy because she's ripping through that as well. Very, very good indeed. And I can just give you some quick visual feedback whilst I'm doing this as well. So we've got Dan here. He's busy doing it. I'm just going to give him a bit of a thumbs up. So that he knows that I'm pleased with his progress. Dawn, I can do the same. And tell me, how do you feel knowing that I'm looking at your work? How do you feel that I'm showing an interest in what it is that you're doing, and whether or not it's actually making sense, and so forth and so on? That's a rhetorical question. Although if you wanted to write that onto your screen, you obviously could. It's interesting seeing how different people are doing it as well. So we've got Mike, for example, who has handwritten his on. Lots of you, like Stuart, are writing things on using the text tool. Really, really good. What I like as well is this feature here. So Dawn's answer is really, really good. She says it's been a long time since. I can't see that bit at the bottom right now, but yeah. So what I want to do as well now then is I want to present Dawn's screen to all of you. Let's say this is a model answer. Present to all. It's been a long time since you did plant biology. So look, this is Dawn. Here's her work. As a class, we could look at this, for example, as a model answer. Okay, let's come out of here. Stop presenting that to all of you. I'm now going to jump back in a second, and I'm going to find someone else's. So let's just go to Mayor's example for a second. And so what we could do, let's say we're in a real classroom. Here we go. And Mayor hasn't put very much on here. He's got one thing on there. But what could we help use and help him as part of our class? How can we help him get to a model answer? And actually, we could get someone else to write on his screen and feedback. We could have an open conversation around the classroom. It's a real clear way of being able to close. Remember that feedback loop I showed you? And I'm sure I'm not going to patronize you in any way, but the feedback loop, we know how important it is. That the quicker, and John Hattie says this with his research, the quicker we can close that feedback loop when learning is still relevant and in the minds of our learners, the better it's going to be to get rid of any misconceptions or reinforce that knowledge as and when it happens. So look, you've done some great responses there. I'm very pleased with that. I'm going to move on with the session now. So I want to run a quick poll. So you should see a poll on your screen. And say if you jump back onto your other tab once you've responded to the question, you'll see my screen. I can see that 9 of you have responded. Some of you are really pleased with yourself, and great, you've done great, well done. 6 of you need to improve. Could be better, average. Again, thinking, reflecting upon your learning is another great way of making sure that that learning sticks. And if it isn't quite right, there's 6 there who say they need to improve. Well, as teacher, I now know that I need to spend some time thinking about how I can actually find out how to improve those things for our learners. Okay, so there's another feature we can use within Unio. If you can see my screen still, you can also see that I can download those results if I want to in a CSV format, which obviously means I can open it up in Excel or Numbers or Google Sheets or whatever spreadsheet tool you've got. Or if you just want it for the file, you can just grab a PDF and download that, not a problem. I'm just going to jump on here now. I've got a quiz I'm going to share with you as well, because you can run quizzes in Unio too. So I'm just going to start the quiz. And as before, I'm just going to review my quiz results. And already you're ripping through those questions. I'm very pleased that so far 100% of you have got the first question correct. Well done. It is education technology. It is not Edwardian or edible. Although edible would be interesting, although quite expensive, I'd have thought. I can move through and see how you're getting on with the other questions. Mirroring, you're getting that correct as well. Well done. See, someone's feeling a bit peckish. They put tea time for TPACK. Now, what's great is I saw Bronwyn's comment before. I can jump into the student screen and just I can see someone else has left a message. Yeah, again, brilliant stuff. Thank you, Bron. Yeah, 100% feedback instead of a dipstick indication of comprehension and engagement. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. So this is a really great, quick way. A really quick way of getting a gauge of where things are at in the classroom. Okay, so as you can see, there are lots of things we can do with Unio. I'm just going to close and end the quiz now. And again, just as before, you can download the CSV, comma separation value version for Excel, etc., or a PDF if you want to. Just some key things to remember with this tool, Unio, that I'm sharing with you. It is dependent on each child having their own device. That doesn't say it has to be a one-to-one school, but because you can, take away, rotate class sets of devices. But in order for Unio to be successful in the classroom, really, you should have children having access to their own device whilst you're running these sessions. What's great about it is it's device agnostic, as we've seen. You can do it on a tablet, you can do it on a laptop, you can do it on a desktop. You can do it on mobile, but the experience isn't as good. It's a free 45-day trial, so you can get access to all the things that I've been showing you and sharing with you and showcasing to you. And if you want the full package, it's only £25 per teacher per year, so you've got all of that. As I said, the team at Unio will email you afterwards with a link to sign up and try these things out with yourselves in the classroom yourself too. So, so just one more comment there as well. Yeah, absolutely. You could do it in groups. And, that's one of the best things about EdTech as well, I find, Bronwyn. Sometimes some of the best EdTech is technology which hasn't been designed specifically for EdTech. It's a teacher who's got an innovative idea about how he can use it in a new and interesting and innovative way. And obviously, you can do that with Unio as well. So you can have groups working around one device if you're working through content, and if it was unsynced and they're working in a differentiated way through the resources that you put there, I can absolutely see that being really impactful. Thank you. So I'm going to share some more tools now with you to help you as a teacher and to support you with your use of technology in the classroom and to help raise standards and to increase engagement. I do worry about teachers and where they get things like images from this. So I'm going to share some resources with you now, so a few little things to help you. One thing, I ask teachers where they get their images from, and normally 9 times out of 10, the answer, well, more like 10 out of 10 really, will be I got it from Google Images. But teachers don't often go through these various steps here. So look, if you're going to be going onto Google Images, searching for images to use in your the work that you do, make sure you do go to the tools section over here and go to where it says usage rights and look for those images which are labeled for reuse. Okay, it's very simple to do. But what I find is if you do that with Google Images, often actually you can find that the images you then find aren't really very good. They aren't the ones that you want, so forth and so on. So here are a few tools that I use to help me find really beautiful images. So one tool that I use, for example, is Pixabay. It's available as an app on Android and iOS, and you can also do it in browser at pixabay.com. There are license-free images. There's clip art, there's vector graphics there. There's loads and loads of stuff. Just got a quick question come in. Mike, can you display any work they are doing on their screen using Unio, for example, a Word document? I'm trying to think of how you mean that, Mike. Sorry. So if they've done some work in Word, then they can either upload the document or they can grab a screenshot and put that image into a slide in Unio if they want to. If that answers your question, then great, let me know. If it was something slightly different, then please do say. So yeah, pixabay.com, fantastic resource. As you can see, the quality of the images that you can find there are really good. You can use them as sort of writing prompts for all sorts of purposes. And again, if you're using something like Unio, you know, you could pop a little bit of text on. You know, how does this image make you feel? And then you could respond to that by writing something onto your screen. And those things that, you know, it could be around a conversation we're having. And rather than it being something where it's actually a photograph as well, you know, just from here, it could be something linked to so from history. Let's say you're studying something like the Second World War and looking at concentration camps, but you've got some photographs or a picture of some prisoners. Yeah, how does that make you feel? And the conversations you have in your classroom, the children can write these responses down, and that'd be really helpful for them when it comes to them doing some creative writing around that later on, maybe, or the work they might be doing there. Right, let me just clear some of these notifications. Make sure that I've got everyone all sorted. Brilliant. Let's go back in then. So yeah, there's some really funny images and things you can find there. Other tools that I like and use for images, not just Pixabay, but Pexels is really, really good. You can go to to pexels.com in order to access the copyright-free photos from them there. They've also got videos.pexels.com, which has got some really great stock video content that you can use as well for backgrounds on things, should you want to. Unsplash is really good as well. Unsplash.com's got some fantastic resources there for you. And I think that between, you know, checking for the reusable images on Google and then looking at your sites like Pixabay, Pexels, and Unsplash, it's a great way to find some, you know, fantastic images to support what you're doing in the classroom. Another tool that I really like using to help me create resources is one called Photofunia. And this is available as an app, and you can do it in browser as well at photofunia.com. Doesn't cost anything to use. Photofunia is absolutely filled full of fun and interesting templates that you can sort of use to help you create resources for yourself. So it could be, for example, that you wanted to introduce a topic in a new and interesting way. It could even be that you use this as a vehicle to help you design a layout like this, if you were doing some green screening, for example. There are loads and loads and loads of different templates available to you there. It could be that a learner has done a particularly good piece of work, and so you can use a template like this, for example. Here's some notes on photosynthesis by some guy called ICC Evangelist. And so you can just drop photos in and all sorts of stuff straight into Photofunia, and it'll turn it into a lovely, lovely image like this for you. Okay, right. Now, I'd like you to, if you could please, for the next one, I'm going to share a thing with you now called ThingLink. Okay, now ThingLink is really, really good, and what it enables you to do is to take images, okay, and then make them interactive, and you can work on those in a sort of collaborative way if you want to. If you want to share one account, or you can set it up individually if you want to. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, please, is I'd like you to please just swap tabs in your browser if you could, and come back to the webinar tab. Okay, so here we go. I've managed to not sync screens. Nihal, you can obviously hear me. Are things okay now with the syncing of slides? Could you tell me, please? All good, brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. So yeah, ThingLink. Okay, so if you can view the webinar bit, I want to show you ThingLink. So here's an image that I uploaded. It's something I put on 3 years ago. It's had a few views. And what I've done, this idea of spaced learning, if you haven't come across it, it links through to Ebbinghouse's forgetting curve. If you see the image at the top here, I can just click onto that and that should then load it up and you can sort of go across. But basically this here is an image where I've added lots of different interactive resources. Okay, now another example of this might be if I just go to ThingLink and periodic table. And so, and let's put apps in there as well. So if you might have seen, for example, my recent periodic table of iOS apps for AR and VR. Now, the lovely poster, people tell me, all the rest of it. However, finding all those apps on the App Store can take quite a lot of time. So what we did was we put the image into ThingLink, and then we made it interactive. So if you go to any of these links on here, then that'll take you through to the relevant app on the App Store. Now, there are lots of ways in which you can use this. Let's say, for example, rather than the, if you go back and think about that activity we had a few minutes ago with the anther and the stamen and the various sort of parts of the anatomy of the flower, I could actually have put a picture like that onto here. And what we can do with that as an alternative would be for us to sort of link through to other resources, link through to video content, lots of other things that we can do with that. Okay, but it doesn't have that interactivity like we have here in Unio. So you just jump back into Unio for a second, please. Back to the presentation on that other tab. And I now want to sort of share with you about a tool which has been massively sort of championed by lots of different educators from around the world, and that's a free tool from Apple called Apple Clips. Now, unfortunately, if you're using platforms other than iOS, this is not a tool for you. However, I've got an alternative for you in just a moment. But using video content, asking learners to demonstrate what they know is a great way to check their learning and understanding. And so I've got some examples here. And actually, this is a nice way of showing you how we can do other things in Unio as well. So it's very easy to just embed YouTube content straight onto these slides that we're working through here. It's just a case of just going to the plus symbol at the top here, add YouTube, and then paste it in, and then drops in, and away you go. Okay, so you've got access to that Apple Clips video just there, and you just press play, and it'll play just like any other sort of video would via YouTube. And yeah, Apple Clips is really, really, really helpful and useful. Here's another example here. It could be used, for example, to explain the steps in a process. There's lots and lots and lots that we can use Apple Clips for. And if you're interested in finding out more ideas for Apple Clips and using it, and for using an iPad in the classroom, then please do check out the Apple EduChat hashtag on Twitter. There's lots of great sharing ideas and content and so forth and so on that you can find and see using that hashtag on Twitter. Excuse me. So on to the next tool that I'd like to share with you. And this is sort of something you can use instead of Apple Clips should you want to. And there's a free app called Quick. As I said, everything I'm sharing with you so far today, you can access for free. The Quick app is, as it sort of says for the name, is a tool that enables you to do something very, very quickly, and that is simply to create video content. It enables you to just take photos and videos that you've got on your device and very, very quickly make it a really awesome video. You can add annotations over the top of it if you want to. You can choose copyright-free music within it as well. It's really powerful, super easy to use, and it can be used in lots of different ways in the classroom. So, for example, you can make a video of stages in a process or of an activity you've been doing. You can use it to enable people to showcase their learning. You can showcase your class, you can record a trip, you can tell a story. There are loads of ways in which you could use this tool in the classroom. The next tool I'd like to share with you is one called Adobe Spark Page. Now, Adobe have created their Adobe Spark tools. There are 3 of them, in fact, not just Spark Page. There's Adobe Spark Video, and there's also Adobe Spark Post. And this week they have opened that up and made that fully available, the full premium product they've made available to educators and schools for free. So you got all the branding opportunities and all the great stuff you can do within these 3 tools. And I wanted to share with you just Adobe Spark Page today. Now, what it enables you to do, Adobe Spark Page, is to make it a really beautiful web page. Now, I've been creating a newsletter every month during 2018 so far, and people have been saying to me, Mark, not only is the content great, but the way you've designed these newsletters is beautiful. It's amazing, Mark. And I'm like, yeah, I really tried really hard. It's very difficult, but actually that's not true. It's really easy to do, really easy to set up, and here's one example for you. So you should be able to see my screen still. And if you were to visit my website, you can find the link for the newsletter there. But it's just a very simple tool to use, and I'd say the end result is really, really beautiful. This is me with Monica Burns, Class Tech Tips. She's an ADE like myself. And the effects that it makes within the page are absolutely brilliant. You can embed content. You saw a YouTube video that I put in there. You've got photographs that you can put in. You can put text in. You can put quotes in nicely. It's very, very, very easy to use. If you can use a word processor, you can use this. It is super, super simple. And as you can see, the apps, the outcome is really, really good. And obviously, what's great about this sort of thing as well, going back to that impact effort prioritization matrix, a low entry threshold, okay, but and students find it really engaging when they're making something that looks this good, this slick. They feel really professional. If your student is interested in learning how to do this properly, then they can go off and they can study that. But in a geography classroom or a science classroom or wherever it is, making something like this is truly beautiful, and enables the student to focus on the content rather than fiddling around, because it's a case of just choosing styles, themes that you apply to these different setups. Whilst we can see it as well, I would highly recommend this Balloon Stickies Plus app. Just a simple app where you can put photographs on and then add quotes. It's great for loads of things, for favourite quotes from a person, if something you're studying from history, thinking about emotional well-being type activities where you can put what people are thinking. You can use it for describing scenes, all sorts of stuff. Balloon Stickies Plus, available on Android and iOS, and it's free. Really great little tool. That's got a 4+ age rating. So that's Adobe Spark Page. Let's just jump back into the Unio presentation for a second then. So Adobe Spark Page as a tool. Well, you could use it to promote a school activity. You could use it so I'm just in case you're trying to catch up as well, but I'm back in on the slides using Unio right now. So if I want to return back to that tab, that'd be great. So yeah, I'm just talking and saying that there are loads of ways in which you can use a Spark Page as a tool in the classroom. You can use it to promote a school activity. It could be that you do it as a class project, science reports, retelling a story, online resumes, or like I did, you could use it to create a newsletter. And this could be something you do for yourself. It doesn't have to be something you choose to use with your learners. It could be something you choose to use as yourself to share with your class. It could be that you're in charge of CPD in your school, for example, and you want to create your monthly CPD newsletter. Why not have a think about using this? You can view it on every platform. It's easy to add resources. All sorts of stuff you can do with it. Really, really good. And as an educator, it will not cost you anything. So look, we're getting towards the end of this session now. I wanted to sort of build in some time for us to ask questions, take sort of questions from you, and have a little discussion around that. But I just want to, because of our sponsors, Unio, just want to remind you of a few things that we can do with Unio and how it will work for you. So it would require you ideally to have it one-to-one, or as Bronwyn clearly suggested, and I'm in agreement, there are certainly cases where you can use it in a group scenario should you want to. It's device agnostic, so whatever kit you've got, as long as you've got an internet connection and a browser, then you should be able to get into it. It works best in for me at least, in Chrome. You get a free 45-day trial as a teacher, and the teacher license is only £25 per teacher per year. Okay, so the team at Unio will email you with a link to sign up after the webinar ends, and there'll be a recording of the webinar as well. And I'm going to jump into here, make sure there's no further questions within the notification section. Right, so notifications are all cleared up. Fantastic. And I'm just going to jump back in now. I'm going to swap onto my face now. Okay, and yeah, here I am. So thank you very much. I'm Mark Anderson. I've really enjoyed chatting and sharing with you today. Are there any questions that any of you might have? Was there a tool that you, or something you might want some help with and hasn't been covered with some of those tools that I've shared with you? Obviously, there's a plethora of tools that we can use to support and enhance teaching and learning and raise standards and engagement in the classroom. So, any questions for anybody? Thank you, Nihal, that's fine. So we have got 10 minutes, 8 minutes left. Oh, thank you, that's very kind, thank you. These names are all coming through as Nihal, so I don't know who's saying thank you, but you all say thank you. Do I have a good list of apps for Chromebooks? I don't know who's asked that question, but yes, I do. If you go on to my website, ictevangelist.com, and thank you, Dawn, and search Chrome. I've got a nice infographic there with tools that work well on Chrome. Working on, as it goes, actually a new periodic table at the moment. I'm doing a few actually on under development. One of which is one for Microsoft tools using Windows. I'm also doing one for Chrome, and I'm also developing some other ones as well. But that will be obviously whoever was who asked about the Chromebooks. That will be a good place to sort of go. Are there any tools that promote discussions or forums other than Twitter and WhatsApp? Yeah, there are loads, Dan. You know, if you've been onto Facebook, there are loads of brilliant groups. I engage on Facebook lots. No questions, Mark. But thank you for sharing some very interesting apps for you to get practicing. Not a problem. Right, okay, thank you. Can you use the poll and quiz options for distance learning, or only during the session? No, absolutely not. So you can have things running. You can Unio is absolutely spot on for distance learning, or even if you want to flip the classroom as well. Simply do the process as I've done it, which is run the session and share the code. Make sure the slides are unsynced so everyone can move through at their own pace, which is what I did by mistake earlier on. I left it unsynced, so you weren't sure. You weren't moving through in a linear fashion with me like I'd meant to, unfortunately. But you can see that it's definitely possible. So yeah, you can do that, absolutely. I don't know who it was who asked the poll and quiz option distance learning question, but absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely agree about the copyright and picture things, Bronwyn. Thank you very much. Thanks, John. Are the presentations that the teacher gives on Unio saved? Yes, they are. Yes. There's a dashboard where you can go back through and pull back reports and see the classes that you've run previously. You can see all of that, and you can download, like I was saying before, PDFs and CSVs of things that you've been running with the class with polls and quizzes and so forth and so on as well. How would you say it differs from Nearpod? Apart from price, which is quite big, Nearpod is not really. They are similar tools, okay, but I guess it's a bit like the difference between sort of PowerPoint and Unio, or PowerPoint and Nearpod even, because when it comes to what you can do with the tools, whilst they may have similar things going on, the outcomes aren't exactly the same. So there are some similar features, like you can see with the polling and the quizzing, but this annotation thing, where you can get that real-time feedback
have messages come through to you nice and quickly and clearly. Yeah, there are some clear differences between the two tools. So yeah, that's what I would say. But someone else asks, have I used tools like Screencastify from Wendy? I have. However, I tend to use a Mac. I've got a Mac, and there's a free tool that comes with Mac OS called QuickTime, and you can screen record using QuickTime. And so I tend to use that. And on my iPad, I use the screen record feature to record the screen there now, because it's so much easier to do. Hopefully that answers your question, Wendy. If you want some more screencasting tools, say I used to use something called Camtasia Studio, which is absolutely fantastic if you're wanting to get some really quality screen recordings for demonstration purposes and what have you. Camtasia is brilliant. Right, thank you very much for the lovely comment, Noel. Thank you very much, Helen. Okay, I'll just give it a few more moments. If there aren't any more questions, then I will just pass things back and say thank you very much and goodbye. But right. And of course, Webinar Ninja is also available to run webinars as well. Okay, listen, thank you so much, everybody, for coming along to the session. I know you're very busy, and if you're still at school, then really you should be going home by now. Listen, thank you very much. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter as ICT Evangelist. You can follow Unio on Twitter, Unio by Harness, and obviously uniobyharness.com is the website. They'll be in touch with a link so you can watch this back if you want to and share it and all of that. And oh wow, someone's saying in Perth. Well, midnight, yeah. You need to go to bed then, whoever that is. So listen, thank you again so much, and that's it. Thank you.